Welcome to the second episode of Leadership Dialogue, a series that aims to showcase leadership excellence by engaging with global leaders across diverse fields. It is a key initiative within Habib University's Historic Opportunity and Access Program, and I, Hamza Raza, the Deputy Manager, Program Development and Engagement, will be your host today. Assalamu alaikum and adab. Joining us today is Jill Filipiak, the Chief Financial Officer of Falcon Holdings, who has been serving in the organization since 2000 on various roles. She is a proud mother, a traveler, a graduate of Eastern Illinois University, and most importantly, a leader. Aside from championing the restaurant financing sector in the United States, she has been working on multiple philanthropic causes in Pakistan, especially the healthcare sector. Hi, Jill. Welcome to the episode.
Well, hello. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Great. So, Jill, we'll first start with your story, knowing a little more about you. From a school-going girl to a leader in finance, what were the challenges, rewards, and learnings that came your way?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. So, I grew up in the Midwest in the United States and went to school and didn't quite know what I wanted to do. It was my senior year and I knew I wanted to do something. College wasn't an option. My parents said, you're going to college. They started saving for me when I was a baby. And I took an accounting class my senior year and really resonated with it. I liked it. It came easy to me. So I said, okay, well, maybe I need to do accounting. So I went to Eastern Illinois University and got my 4-year degree in accounting. And then I knew that I wanted a career coming out. I always knew that I did want to work in the workforce and I did want to have a family. So that's the struggle with a woman, right? Because they want to have their children, but they also want to have that career path. So I started at RSM and worked at tax and audit. And it was just a wealth of knowledge right away because I worked on all kinds of different clients. We worked on manufacturing clients, to banking clients, to schools. We were kind of exposed to everything. So you got to see the ins and outs and the workings and the financials for all of these different industries. So then after RSM, it's interesting because I knew I didn't want to do the partner path. So I didn't want to be tied to the partner path. But starting out in public accounting was a really good platform because it focused me and it taught me the importance of hard work. So we would work 80 plus hours a week. And because we were doing auditing in the field, we'd come back and we'd have to do tax returns. So we would be working weekends, we'd be working nights. Sometimes we'd be leaving the client at like 10 o'clock and then having to get up in the morning the next morning. And so it really kind of level set my work ethic as a person because what it took to get the job done and then the other responsibilities you have. Now, I was single, I didn't have a family. So that really taught me, okay, this is what it takes if you want to grow and if you want to keep learning. From there, I went to a manufacturing client and I kind of looked around at the upper leadership. I said, because I knew I wanted to go upward. I didn't want to be stuck just as an accountant. So it was all male and it was all white male. And I was like, I just don't think I'm going to progress here. Like I didn't see a path for myself. And I think that might be a lot of the problems. Like if you look at the C-suite right now, it's such male dominated place. And a lot of women don't have those role models to kind of see the path that they can get there. So I decided I wasn't going to stay there 1 year. And then I went to Ameriking, which was the largest Burger King franchisee at the time. And my friend actually was a director there. And she was a female. And she said, hey, we're looking for a manager level position to come in. And I loved it. It was the hospitality, the restaurant business, and it was just such a different feel from anything I had ever done. The manufacturing client, the working at RSM, and kind of fell in love with the restaurant space, the hospitality, the people. It's all about the people. And, you're supporting the field. We're supporting the restaurants. They're the ones ringing up the cash in the stores, and we're there for support and to make sure the company then is on the right path and continues to grow. So in 2000, Giovanna, my friend, she went to Falcon Holdings. And she's like, come over with me, come on over and work with Aslam, because it was a brand new company, because it started in 1999 in September. And he had moved the company to Chicago and was looking for a CFO. So he hired Giovanna, and she's like, come over, I'll hire you as a controller. And I had just gotten a promotion, and I was like, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm okay. And they just kept calling me and kept bugging me. And so I went over there, and it was the best decision of my life. So I came in, brand new company, and I never forget the first the day we came in, and I said, okay, where's the balance sheet? Where's the income statement? And so Giovanna takes out a blank piece of paper. She's like, okay. I'm like, okay, we're starting from scratch. How much cash do we have in the bank? Okay, what are our assets? So it was something where her and I got to kind of create the policies and the procedures and kind of build everything from scratch. I'm not going to lie, it was a lot of late nights, a lot of hard work. We were, owned by a private equity firm. So we had strict deadlines. We had strict reporting guidelines, and we would be sometimes till 2 a.m. There was a couch in the office. Sometimes we would go sleep on it and drive home, change, shower, and come back the next day. So it is a lot of work, and you do have to push through and persevere. But if it's something you really want at the end of the day, and it's all worth it.
Right. That is an amazing story. So managing both professional responsibilities and a family life as a C-suite member and as part of an executive leadership of an organization is very demanding, I must imagine. How did you maintain a balance between these diverse roles? What kept you motivated? What inspired you?
Yeah. So thank you. I really wanted children, and that was something my husband and I really were passionate about and wanted children in our lives. And we were blessed in 2003 to have our first baby. And I kind of identified myself as a career person. So I didn't realize, I was like, no, I want to stay home and, raise her and be in the house. And when it came time, because I was literally sitting at my desk when I went into labor, because I was always working, right? So I went into labor and then went to the hospital, had her. So it was kind of like you were thrown into this other role, and kind of this part was like ripped out of your life, who you identified with, right? So it kind of was a little bit hard in the beginning to kind of accept both roles. And I decided to kind of take a step back from Falcon at that time, because I wanted to be the one to instill the values in my children. And then next year, Paige was born, and so I had two. They were 13 months apart. And but then I didn't want to let go of my professional life. I felt like my skills would become dull, and I wouldn't be able to then get another job, in say 5-6 years. So what I did was I continued to work for Falcon in a lesser capacity. So they had a client that I kind of worked on. And so I was like the controller of that small client that had 20 stores. They were located in Chicago. Falcon had already moved to Dallas. And so I was over that client. And then I helped with the budgeting process. And then I started traveling. When my girls got into elementary school, I started traveling back to Dallas to work on their clothes. And we were starting the Pakistan office. So we had started the Pakistan office where we were kind of trying to save on labor, trying to open up an accounting back office support system for Falcon. So I kind of threw myself into that training and helped getting that team set up. Then I just started traveling more and more and more. And then I just was full time down here. And then I was only coming home on the weekends. So it is hard, because you can have both though. you can have both, and still be in your children's lives and still be a big part of that. And you can, definitely have a career too. But it's challenging to juggle both of that.
Yeah, that is for sure. Because as someone who has been in my professional life for quite a few years now, I could really see myself struggling just in the professional world, while not being really taking care of what's going on. I don't have a family of my own right now, and I can't even imagine being primary responsible to both the parts, because these are two different worlds, and you need to really carry them together at a time.
Yeah, and I never was one to just sit around and do nothing. Even when I was kind of staying at home, I was still working. So I would put them down for naps and I would work. And then I'd put them down at 7 o'clock, and then I would work until 2 a.m. in the middle of the night, and then wake up and then be with the kids during the day. And then also I was always kind of like trying to keep my life scheduled. So I was their Girl Scout leader, and I was their soccer coach, and I was I was on the board for the swim team. And I've always kind of had those leadership skills, even when I was at home and still working and still with them. And then I just realized, you know what, I really wanted a career, and I wanted my career to go, keep progressing into the C-suite is what I wanted.
That's great. So Jill, there is one very important thing we are mentioning about the executive leadership in the world. So according to a report published by the Boston Consulting Group in 2022, only 13% of all the 150 public and private companies that they surveyed, which roughly accounts for 19 companies out of 150, had women CFOs. This number has improved, but at an extremely low pace, despite clear research evidence that women finance professionals help to boost corporate growth, returns, and market valuations. What do you think are the reasons behind this global trend?
I really believe it goes back to role models for these women going into these careers, because if they're not seeing these women navigating and kind of forging that path for them, they might not see themselves as, hey, I can actually get to this level and be a leader in this company. For me, I had a really great mentor. She was my friend, and she was the CFO, and she kept me close with her, and I saw what she accomplished, and I wanted to do the same.
Right. And what do you think is right now needed in the industry overall to really bring a shift into this? Because we have seen that mostly in organizations across research and surveys that come up every year by major consultancy groups, that all these big organizations, again, have all male directors, despite doing the major part of the work. The general managers are the women. But the leadership roles and the executive leadership roles stays with men. How to really break that glass ceiling, especially if someone is young, is passionate about the work that they're doing, and the fact that you mentioned about having role models, then even that entire thinking of having role models and reaching up to that level becomes, a difficulty, because dreaming about these things is not that easier, because they seem to be a little far from reality. So how can one really change that in the given circumstances globally?
Well, I think if you have passion and commitment, and this is something you really want, right? So if listen, everyone's going to have failures along the way. And I've had so many that I can count, and you just have to keep on your course, right, of path. Like, if you know you want this and you know what you need to take, you need to figure out what you need to learn and where your gaps are in order to get there. And even if you see all men, I would not give up. I would just keep going, because I think women bring a sense of caring and compassion. And I really think they care about the company at a deeper level, right? Because they take it on as their own, like as their child, right? And so they want to nurture it and grow it and make it succeed to the best of their ability. And I think women in that C-suite role is something that we need that diversity, in the top leadership roles.
Right. That is indeed needed. But I also wanted to know that as an organizational leader and a recruiter, at a time when the world is seeing rapid changes and unprecedented challenges in all sectors of life, do you believe that a liberal arts and sciences model helps prepare the next generation of leaders?
So, the liberal arts education, I think, really sets a student for achieving success. They kind of develop a deep analytical and research skills that would foster creativity. I think the students learn to think critically and use those problem-solving skills to bring effective strategies to the organization.
So, Jill, you, aside from a business leader, you are also a social entrepreneur. You have been working on various philanthropic projects, and you are also about to lead a foundation focusing on philanthropic work in Pakistan. What inspired this initiative, and what are the core values and goals that you hope to instill in this foundation?
So I guess first and foremost, Aslam Khan, right? So his generosity and kind heart and wanting to give back to the country has really inspired me. He has a true passion for helping others, and he always has. And to see him now transition into this foundation role and wanting to help the underserved is really inspiring to me. So I want to help in that regard, and it's a rewarding work. So it's something different than running the company at a different level. It's heartwarming. It makes you feel good, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the next chapter of continuing the work in Pakistan. We're setting up a foundation here in the United States to help young, underserving communities bring people up into leadership positions and maybe entrepreneurship, and giving them the resources, the tools, the training, and then access to capital to put them into business. So we're kind of doing both in the both worlds, and it's going to be something exciting.
That's great. So talking of Pakistan, Pakistan is famous for multiple things, and higher education is really not one of them. And higher education has always played a crucial role in a country's growth. You have been visiting Pakistan for years, and in April this year, you had a chance to visit Habib University and interact with their students. How was the experience like for you?
Well, first of all, it was amazing. Just seeing the university, it kind of came close to my heart because my daughters, we had just been visiting all these universities for them because my one daughter is a sophomore and my other daughter is a junior this year, and both in colleges here in the United States. And so we had just gone on tours and tours and tours of all these universities in the United States. So then me coming to Habib University, you guys it's fantastic, toe to toe. It was a beautiful university, beautiful campus, such smart kids that we met and interacted with. And then we connected with some people in the alumni group. And I'm still continuing those conversations with some of your alumni students that are passionate and starting their own path in this world and trying to get footing and grow something of their own. And it's just so inspiring to see. It was so inspiring to hear their stories. And the campus is built so it's a collaborative thinking. You don't sit in the classroom and look at this. You're not being taught to. To me, all the students were collaborating, working on projects together. We went to the library and we saw groups working together and laughing and, working on presentations. And then you would go into these classrooms and they weren't your normal classrooms. They were, little groups getting together and sharing ideas. And it was so inspiring to see that in Pakistan. You didn't feel like you were in Pakistan. I know we left the streets and we entered, and I felt like then we had entered maybe in a university in a different country. But it was something very, very exciting to see, and I'm excited for the growth of Habib University in the future too.
Right. I think such institutions can only be built when they're supported by a group of people, a community, because then that is how, if we see like across history in higher education, all these big institutions of higher learning that we have right now, which are pioneering research in all the fields, pioneering leadership, were built by numerous members coming together for a cause to bring a long-term change in the society and in the nation. Community-owned institutions are not a new thing in the world. It has deep roots within the history of humanity. I wanted to know from you in specific that why do you believe that community-owned institutions of higher learning are so essential right now?
So when I think about the answer to that question, I really kind of think about Habib University in particular, because when you don't have access to funds to pay for your higher learning, you're not going to get access to it. And that's a problem, because I think everybody needs to have access equally to be able to continue their education, because as we said, knowledge is power. So it's very important that some of these kids from these remote areas are so super smart and can do so much good in the world. And it is very important that we support that and continue to support bringing that education to those students. Because if the students have to pay for their own education and there's no government assistance or there's no government help, these kids are not going to go to college. They're not going to go to school. You're going to continue to be in the same cycle you are, where there's not going to be those higher educated individuals moving the country forward, and getting into those roles. So I really feel the importance of the supporting those individuals that need that support.
Right. Jill, we were also talking about your work that you'd be starting in Pakistan soon, the establishment of the foundation in the US and potentially soon in Pakistan as well. So navigating the approval process with the government when someone is building a foundation sounds extremely challenging, and it's not just restricted to a particular country, because a lot of paperwork is involved. Could you share some insights with us into the hurdles you faced and how you're overcoming them? Because this is something that a number of young people who really want to start something which could bring a positive change and want to know what's the course like for it. Is it difficult? How to make sure that they're abiding with the laws and policies of a government?
So yes, foundation work was something that I don't know anything about. Right. So when Aslam said, okay, we're going to set up 2 foundations, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a lot to learn. And I'm still not the expert. I've learned a lot. We've come a long way. So kind of where we are in the process especially with Pakistan, they still haven't approved us. It's been a long haul. We are still waiting for the final stamp of approval so that we could have an official foundation there. But we decided not to wait, and he decided to, start to do what he wanted to do. But I think we're getting closer. A lot of paperwork to fill out, a lot of channels to keep talking to. We have to keep talking to people in the government. So we've now pushed it along where I think we're at the final stages. So that one is probably almost approved to be official. But in the US, it's the same thing, because there is a lot of rules and regulations, because I want the 2 foundations to speak to each other. So I had to learn, okay, what does that mean? So if somebody gives us a donation here in the US and they specifically earmark it for maybe roads and bridges or connecting villages in the remote areas of Pakistan, or building healthcare clinics and dispensaries in the villages, then what do those rules look like from the United States sending money for that purpose? What do the rules in Pakistan look like so they can apply it to the proper channels? So it was a lot of learning, and it's a lot of continued learning, right? Because not the expert yet, but we've engaged a team of experts to kind of help us out and navigate the waters. So it's been a journey.
Right. I'm sure that is something that when, so many young people, when they want to really establish an organization, a foundation, they do everything. They have like great plans, but when it comes to the execution part of it, they get to know, there's a lot of paperwork involved, how to really sort that. And maybe and this message in particular would be very helpful for people. And also like a lot of patience that's required throughout the process.
Patience, completely. A lot of patience, and a lot of, you want it to be worded this way and you have to change it this way, or a lot of tweaks on it. So yes, a lot of patience, a lot of continuing to push it along. As long as you move it forward every couple months, then you're going in the right direction. You don't want it to become static and it not moving.
Yeah, right. So Jill, what is your message to all the women entering into the global workforce? How can they become conscious and well-rounded leaders in their respective fields with all the challenges on their way? So
I guess I would say that, first of all, figure out what you want to do. Because if you don't love what you want to do, and if you don't have a passion for it, you're not going to do it well. So figure out kind of what your path looks like individually, and then really pursue it with a passion. Because then you'll be successful. If you love doing what you want to do, then you'll be successful. The other piece is just to listen and learn as much as you can, because along the way, you're going to be listening to other leaders and managers and other team members on your team and the organization. And you want to just take in all the advice that you get. Maybe you're not going to like the advice, right? But just listen, hear what they're saying, sort out what's good for you. Maybe not all of it's good. Take the little nuggets along the way from people that are talking to you, and then, take it personally, apply it to yourself, and keep continuing to grow, keep continuing to push forward, and your passion will take over and you'll succeed in the end.
I think something really special that you mentioned about empathy in leadership, something that we do not recognize, and when it comes to leadership, there are some people who do some amazing work individually, but then leadership really calls you to work with people, to do all the teamwork and keep the team motivated, making them feel that they're needed, and they are important. So the entire empathy lens is extremely essential to have a good leader. So one of the key things that we have good leaders in the world right now, or maybe the dearth of good leaders around the world right now, is because of an absence of empathy. So I would like to ask you two things. Firstly, for leaders who are already sitting in the positions of power, how can they instill empathy in their practice? And secondly, for the budding leaders who are working really hard, working with teams, how to make sure that they are also taking care of people whom they work with or are leading.
Right. So I guess our mantra here at Falcon is people first. So we are all about mentoring the current individuals that work with us, making sure that, they're doing the right things. And if they're not, we just keep redirecting them and listening to them. I mean, you listen to what maybe their struggles are, and then you listen to the other side, because maybe there's sometimes a conflict between someone in the store and not really understanding someone in the back office. And we kind of almost have to take a step back and say, okay, what is really going on? What is the problem, and how can we resolve the problem? And I think it comes down to listening and caring about the people and really wanting them to succeed in the role, and everyone to feel like they came out as listened to, and then the problem gets solved.
Thank you so much, Jill, for the last message that you left us with. I really appreciate your time, and looking forward to see you again on campus someday. Thank you so much for all the viewers who joined in for today's episode. We will be back with the third episode of the Leadership Dialogue with another guest and another global leader. Looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you.